Hi. Seventh episode.
Howdy. Is it 7?
This is number 7,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been so long. Will took away my mat and has replaced it with the soda can because I can't be trusted not to just do things with my hands. So I now have liquid instead of a mat that might make things like kind of go like tip tap. I now have a 75-cent can of soda that can destroy hundreds of dollars of audio equipment.
That's like you doing some ASMR there. Here, and I also have a
Yes, yeah. Oh, we
soda.
cannot sponsor.
we won't show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No sponsor.
All
but-
I'll say about this one is that I have a prescription. That was a good sip. That was like cartoon character level sip.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So high. Episode number 7.
Yes.
This is The Flash.
The newest, the 2023
23, yeah.
version. Yeah.
Ezra Miller as The Flash, and also as The Flash. So
Yeah, so we're gonna this is kind of a disclaimer. We're gonna talk about the film itself, not, kind of disregard some of the
well, I mean, I might bring those up
a little bit.
but just a little bit, just because I think it's very important to provide a little bit of context. But at the same time, like this is premiere reviews, not in the news. Like,
What's in the news?
What's in the news? Muppet news. But I just figured, do you ever go Muppet mode? Where you just your arms sort of lock at your side, like, and then you use your wrists like they got like sticks on them. I do that all the time. Our audio listeners, I'm sorry, but just imagine me like Kermit the Frog, and just like, oh hey, there's that over there. Like I don't know. I like doing it,
Yeah.
and it just
Hi-ho.
naturally stays here. Hi-ho.
Are we allowed to say that name?
I am Cammit. I'm Campbell the Toad.
Fermit the Cog.
Ferment the Cog. That sounds like a punk rock band.
Fermit the Cog.
Yeah.
Wait, whoa, that sounds a little
Yeah, come on,
Cog.
Will.
Cog.
Will, this is a fucking family show.
Frog. Yeah.
So hi, welcome in 7th episode. We're talking the Flash.
The Flash.
But we are gonna be talking about it. I already know a little bit of Will's opinion going into it. I don't know a lot. He doesn't know a lot about mine.
Yeah.
All we know is that as far as if you guys like the fighting episodes or like the controversy episodes where we actually like discuss film, not even argue, because if we argued I'd win. But where we're sort of at odds with our opinions. And so I think that's very interesting to have those moments, and hopefully they're entertaining at least.
Sorry.
I swear to God, this
Good.
microphone. I can't
Gabe
do
is
anything right.
adjusting the microphone.
I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
Is this too high? Is this too low?
No, it works. It's
Audience-
it's
audience.
slowly falling.
I don't know why.
It's slowly falling.
Well, that's as tight as I'm getting it.
That's probably
I'll
good
just
there.
I'll just continuously hunch over. Our video watchers are gonna be they're just gonna
Entertained.
watch me slowly slump
Yeah.
over like a Discord moderator.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah,
We'll
So,
dive in.
The Flash 2023. Will, as our numbers guy, what's going on here?
So, this was released June 16th of this year. It was distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, of course. They own DC Comics. Well, production, distribution, not the actual, comics. But so distributed. It's adapted from Flashpoint. And the box office so far is $217.6 million. To put that into perspective, the reported budget for the film was $200 million, which
So already it's like
it's about because that's just budget for production, not counting marketing. So it's about $150 million in debt, basically.
Dang. I work at a movie theater, and it is the funniest thing to me. I know this is kind of like messed up because people go to have a good time or whatever, but the amount of times I'll be working the box office because you need to select your seats at my theater. Because we don't, I'm sick of the fingers crossed. Everyone's like, oh, I hate selecting the seats at the theater. I want to make sure I can sit next to my buds, or my family. I don't want to like push past people. But they'll be like, 3 tickets for The Flash, please. And then like I pull up the seating chart and I'm like, oh, hardly anyone's in there. Like, I'll explain which seats are open. Like they'll be like, oh wow, it's full. And I'm like, actually, those are the ones that are empty. And like, and they're like, well, there's still 4 people. And then I'm like, actually, those are house seats that we keep in reserve. You guys are going to be the only ones in there today.
Well, it's like when I saw it. Yeah, I think that there were like maybe 4 or 5 other people.
Yeah,
it's sad because I mean the actors, the crew, they all, and the post-production crew with the amount of special effects and everything, they worked really hard, and there are some reasons to why it's not doing so well.
Yeah.
We can get into that. It's got a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes if you follow that critic channel.
Yeah, which I will some people like Rotten Tomatoes, some people don't. It is an aggregator, so that's just sort of combining all reviews on it and then applying their own criteria. So take it or leave it if you will.
There's a lot of mixed, and there are some times that I would agree with that rating, and there are other times that I'm like, wow, they gave it that low, but no. Yeah. But anyway, so to I guess dive in here, the film stars Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Sasha. How do you say their name?
I'm so bad with.
It's like.
I think.
Calais.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know if it's French or Spanish or like.
Well, anyway.
And those aren't even the 2 languages that I actually had it narrowed down to in my head. So, like, I don't know. I don't know.
But anyway.
Well, so. I barely passed my German courses in college, and I lived with a German major. All right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's not a German name, but
no, I'm saying I'm not good with language.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of that's the core cast, and all the whole cast was actually I think that they did a pretty good job. My I guess. Well, I don't know if we should dive into.
Yeah, let's talk about the plot of the film first, and then we'll get into opinions.
Okay.
And believe me, I have some.
I have the log line here. If I should
read
that.
Yes, please give us the log line.
All right. Worlds collide when the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to change the events of the past. However, when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, he becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation. With no other superheroes to turn to, the Flash looks to coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian.
So I do want to say, having been in a lot of classes where I've had to write log lines and having completed an internship where my whole job was to do log lines, the fact that log line was multiple sentences long should be and that's like probably the best that you could do, and it's not even super. I don't know who wrote that log line, but like that should be an indication. Normally they're like 1 sentence, maybe a little bit of a run-on sentence. But the fact that it took all that to tell you what you needed to know is a little scary.
Yeah.
And I love complex films, but My God. So, the plot. Will, I think you probably followed the plot better than I did, which again could be a problem with me. So why don't you go ahead and give us just a quick synopsis rundown of what happened in the film?
Yeah, so this takes place after the Justice League film, if you know what happened in that one. So the Flash is...
I never saw it.
You didn't?
I did not.
Neither, or
Neither the
there
Snyder
were
Cut,
two
never...
cuts.
I didn't
Wow.
see. I don't care about DC. I barely cared about Marvel. I will be real. I know. Feed me with your hatred. Feed me with your hatred. I watched the Star Wars prequels. All right, I'll throw that out there. Marvel just was sort of. I was already exhausted by the time we got to Endgame, and now they keep doing stuff, and I'm like, I don't have the energy to keep up with it now.
Well, okay.
And DC was just never caught my attention.
Yeah, I agree with you at this point. I mean, superhero movies in general are getting a little exhausting.
Yeah.
But
Especially multiverses. Although Spider-Man did a good the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse did a good job with it. I liked it in spite of the multiverse stuff. I didn't like it because of it, I'll be real.
Yeah.
Even though like it's core to the thing. I liked it in spite of that because I'm sick of multiverses. I'm so sick of them. But go ahead, Will. Sorry.
No,
That
you're good.
tangent. We just had a talk.
Yeah, we're going.
We just had a
tangents
talk
here.
about. I was like, man, it's hard to follow if we're like in the middle of a synopsis and then we go off on a tangent.
Well, I didn't start yet.
Okay,
yet,
thank God.
So the Flash, so it takes place after the Justice League film. The Flash is going around, saving people, and you learn during this film that the Flash's mother was killed when the Flash was a kid, and you learn that early on, and basically the Flash finds out that if they run fast enough, then they can kind of...
Well, on top of that, not only is his mother killed, his father is the one blamed for it, like imprisoned for it, even though he had an alibi. It's just they can't get the evidence of that alibi. And so it's like,
until this point. But so that's an aspect. And but I should say in this, in this world that he's in, the Flash, that Ben Affleck's Batman is the Batman in that world, that universe. So anyway, so the Flash finds out that
I am so sorry. Even without the man,
you're good. You're good.
I hit my. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but it's a canned soda of a variety.
There's your tangent in the middle of the plot.
I am so sorry. Okay, so Flash runs super fast and goes back in time.
And so basically the Flash breaks the
continuity is what I would call it.
In the universe, and he goes back in time to like try to prevent like
his mom being killed. And in doing that, first of all, he's stopped. Like, he does a thing to save his mom, and then he's trying to run back to get back to his, like, present. And then this thing, this, like, kind of grotesque, like, monster thing, like, pushes him out of it. Out of, like, whatever speed thing he's in. Like, whatever timeline thing he's looking at. And then he gets trapped in a different timeline where there's still a him at 18 years old. There's still another Barry Allen. And so he's like, what's going on? But his mom's still alive. And they go about it. The blah, 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 blah. Things happen. Flash decides that this Barry Allen also needs superpowers, despite him doing well without them. And him saying you don't want superpowers suddenly decides that he needs superpowers, and then in doing that process ends up losing his superpowers and giving them to 18-year-old Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And then they go through this adventure where it turns out Zod, if you saw Man of Steel with Henry Cavill,
Which was not bad.
I actually did like that movie.
Yeah.
They find like Zod is coming because he didn't travel back to his full timeline, like to the full future, because he got pushed out of the continuum. So they're like, well, dang it, where's Superman? They don't know where Superman is, so they go on an adventure to find Batman, who could track Superman because Superman hasn't been discovered yet.
Which that Batman, once they find him, is the
Not Batman. Well, it is Batman.
It's not Batflack.
Yeah.
It's the OG Batman. Not Adam West, but Michael Keaton.
Dang it, I wanted Adam West.
I'm Batman.
But
anyway.
I'm Batman. I love that. Oh, wow.
I saw that's good. That's good. I saw never mind. I don't want to go on a tangent.
No, okay, but so they find Michael Keaton. They find Michael
Yeah.
Keaton's Batman.
And
He doesn't want to help.
yeah, but then they kind of convince him, and then he helps track the Superman that they think is in their world, which is they think that Superman's in was it like Russia?
Yeah, it's
in a Russian prison.
It's so weird because like it's a Russian prison in like I think it's supposed to be like 2015, but it's like a Siberian Soviet communist like it's a little weird. It's a little weird where they don't even get their own thing. But
yeah.
it's supposed to be a bit ambiguous. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have had the soda. But I need something to do with my hands because I just want to rip this wire out of the... So, they go to Siberia to break out the Superman. But, Superman's not there, and instead they find a woman who is, like, not in good shape. They bust her out because they're like, well, we can't just leave this woman here, even though she's not Superman. We can't just leave her here. So they bust her out, and then she gets in the sunlight, and it turns out, she's Kryptonian. Sunlight powers them, or at least our sunlight powers the... Stop! I know I hit the thing. I'm sorry. I know, like, sunlight powers them. So she beats everyone up, and then takes them... Like, they end up getting out of there.
That's Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl.
So,
and
Supergirl is there instead of Superman.
Kal-El. Yeah, Superman. Although it's revealed she was sent to protect him, but he never made it to the planet.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. But she goes, and then she's like, they're like, okay, we need you to help us stop Zod. And then she's like, I don't care to stop him and save you guys because you guys tortured me a lot, and that sucks. Why would I help humans? And so she just goes, and then Zod just sort of kills a bunch of humans, and then she's like, well, wait a second. Humans also saved me without knowing who I was. So you know what? I'll trust these guys, and maybe they are worth saving. Big fight, like the big fight that happened in Man of Steel, as Zod tries to terraform. And they're going about it. Barry, so Barry, 18 years old, has superpowers this whole time, has the Flash's superpowers. But Barry, who actually changed the timeline, lost his. So he does this big thing where he gets his superpowers back, and it almost kills him. So now they have them together.
Yeah, for the fight.
For the big fight. And then they...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they end up, like, working together, fighting together, and... You know, the fight sequence goes on, and they find that... Well, so this is, I guess, spoiler territory for...
All of this... What do you mean, all of... Oh, yeah, so...
Well, but anyway, well, kind of.
This is a bigger spoiler than the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because this is the twist.
So, Supergirl gets killed by General Zod, and
quite brutally too.
Yeah.
Stabbed through the heart. You're too late.
And 18-year-old Barry knows that he could go back in time to prevent that from happening. So he tries to do that to save Supergirl, and go back to right before she gets killed, and he's not able to save her, and she gets killed again in a different way.
And every time that he does it, he gets more and more wounded.
Yeah, and every time that the Flash travels back in time, it also kind of breaks up the, I guess, timelines and starts to make them collide more.
Yeah.
So you get different universes coming together into each other and everything. Yeah. It's
But older Barry starts to be like, well, wait a sec, not everything has a solution. I guess this is the thing where we have to accept that Batman and Supergirl are going to die. Those are things that are just going to have to happen. But younger Barry
can't save them.
Yeah, younger Barry has the Spider-Man approach of I can save everybody. And if I have the ability to be a hero, I have to be a hero. And so it keeps going back and back and keeps getting wounded, and it won't stop. Oh,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well,
you take the big review.
He keeps going back, and they get to the point where the universes are colliding into one another, and this creature that came down and kicked older Barry, into the past, earlier in the movie shows up again, and it's revealed that creature is actually younger Flash.
Yeah,
who
18-year-old Flash.
18-year-old Flash who gets stuck in this constantly trying to fix. I don't know, it's confusing.
It's the past Flash from the future.
Yeah.
Still trying, basically did all these events to get everyone to the point to ensure his existence, so that way he can continue to try and save, and then realizes the one thing he hasn't tried is to kill older Flash.
Right.
Older Flash from the future past. And then sorry, from the past future would be more accurate.
What?
It's all spaghetti, is how they explain it. But so keeps trying to do that, and so tries to kill him. So the big twist is that the Flash is the reason why all this is happening in the first place, and the Flash is the monster that was kicking the Flash out of the timeline. Barry comes to terms with the fact that, hey, wait a sec. Older Barry comes to terms with maybe we really can't save everyone, and so decides, well, this world can't be saved, but I'm seeing all these other timelines get crashed into this. I can save them. So he decides to go back and not stop his mom from getting murdered by basically the tomato soup. The whole thing was that she forgot tomato soup, and so his dad had to go out and get it.
So it's just canned tomatoes, right?
Yeah. So instead of doing that, he decides instead, he basically says goodbye to his mom, and then he takes the tomatoes and he moves them to the top shelf of the supermarket, which allows his dad to be seen on security cameras that day. So even though his mom dies, his dad's name is still cleared, and I guess that doesn't mess with the timeline. And then they live happily ever after.
Kinda.
Yeah.
That's
a long.
That's a
long. But here's the thing: it's just the timeline's fine. The timeline's fine. He gets to the end, wins the case, and who shows up but Batman? George Clooney, not Batfleck. So to show, oh my God, it changed the timeline again, because when you change the past, you change all of the past, not just that one point of the past.
I don't know which one is worse though.
Yeah, right. But so that's the synopsis of it. Is now the Flash is basically in an almost identical world, but not quite identical.
Still different.
Yeah, still different.
But it's important to talk about all of that because
that explanation right there is half of it, and so now you get why the log line was so complex with it,
and more than
more than like the one line,
Yeah.
which I know is like isn't a rule, but it should be.
Yeah.
So, Will, opinions. I want to hear your thoughts first, unless you want to hear my thoughts first. But
I'll go. I can go.
please.
So, I thought that this was definitely enjoyable. I thought it was entertaining, and I thought that it was one of the better DC films. Granted, that's not saying much given DC's kind of track record, but
I think the best way to describe it that I've heard it described is the best DC film is always an okay Marvel film.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 But anyway, I enjoyed it because, I think that a lot of people found that superhero fatigue is a thing right now, which I agree. There's so many superhero movies coming out, but this to me was different, and it was a little refreshing in that way. And I just thought it was kind of fun, and of course, seeing Michael Keaton as Batman again was pretty awesome because he's so classic. He was in 2, right? Batman and then Batman Returns. So back in but those were good.
Back in the Michael Keaton days,
Michael
in case
Keaton.
you didn't know.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I think that like my main issue with it was the CGI issues. There were quite a few CGI issues.
Do you remember the controversy of American Sniper?
No.
Okay, here's the thing. American Sniper is a film, is a Clint Eastwood film. And one of the bigger pieces of controversy surrounding the film, aside from it being about about Chris Kyle, who was himself like a controversial figure, one of the bigger controversies about it was that for literally, I kid you not, it's like less than a minute of screen time, they have a puppet baby instead of a real baby because the baby that was supposed to be there wouldn't settle down and they couldn't film it. So they ended up having a baby and a little fake baby, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's so fake. You can clearly tell it's so terrible. I can't believe this was able to get past." I've seen American Sniper a couple times, and I've never really noticed the baby because also it's not the main focus. There's a whole 10-minute section of this film dedicated to the Flash saving babies that are so clearly not real, and they don't even it's not even oh, I can forgive it type of bad. It's bad. It's bad.
The CGI.
The CGI, yeah. Also the children. Don't have children. No.
Yeah, the CGI was not, it wasn't great. And I saw an interview with one of the mains. What's the
Joe Biden?
No. What? One of the main CGI people on the film, and he was talking about how the issue and why it looks so bad is they have a budget. The film has a budget, and these studios are pumping out these superhero films so fast, and they're not putting enough budget toward post-production as they should. So, and they're not willing to budge and give more. So they have this strict, this budget that they have to get one scene done in a week. And that scene, whether it's finished or not, has to be done with that budget. So because they're cutting budgets for post-production CGI work, the guy that was in the interview said he's like, that's just what we have to work with.
Yeah.
And it's not the artist's fault.
Yeah. Well, also there's I'm so sorry to cut you off on this, but it's also important to note that there's been a race to the bottom for a while now with VFX in Hollywood. This isn't going to be the case for every film or whatever, but this is a pretty good example that was given to me when we were talking about it in classes. VFX, how the example that we were given was basically like a film will ask a couple of different companies, VFX companies, hey, we want VFX for this, and this is what the scene has to look like. This is what we want these things to look like, and then they'll do that for a couple of different companies. They'll say you, and you, and then those like 3 companies will all make their own cuts and versions all the way through, it's insane. They'll put all their own money behind it, and then the studio will pick one company and say, okay, you, and they'll pay them. And all the other companies that, made their own versions of the stuff and put a lot of money in are like screwed. So there's a huge incentive for people who will A, charge the cheapest, B, get it done the fastest, and C, get it like passable. And passable is starting to become the lower tier
standard. And that I think is for many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But
remember George Lucas when the prequels came out? He was like, so CGI, it's wonderful because we'll be able to. The technology may not be there yet, and the prequels that was one of the things that they were supposed to do, was just open up the possibility for CGI. And I think if you showed George Lucas as he was like preparing for the Phantom Menace, if you showed him The Flash 2023, he would immediately scrap the Star Wars prequels and say, no, we have to do it practical. It all has to be practical now.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he's also made some... Anyway,
obviously he's made a lot of missteps,
choices, yeah.
But I'm saying the reason why we've paved this path is because of the prequels opened up that door, and it actually was groundbreaking for the time. It's just people didn't decide to go past that.
Right.
But yeah, so sorry, you were saying...
Well, and there are good franchises that have figured out how to incorporate CGI and practical. Mm-hmm. I know for one of the better examples is the newer Star Trek films, the 2009, and J.J. Abrams specifically uses a mixture of CGI and practical, and I think that right now it's more expensive, of course, because I think it's cheaper for studios just to throw money at computer-generated images, which is what The Flash did.
Well, it's easier for them to throw 37 cents at a computer-generated image rather than like $37 on a like resin mask.
Right.
Like a resin mold or anything like that.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's all to say that I think that was the biggest
gripe with it.
Biggest gripe.
Do you want to know what I thought about this film? I'm sorry, I've been holding my tongue.
No, go ahead.
I keep interrupting all your things. I've been holding my tongue on the quality of the film. Ezra Miller cannot act. I am sorry to say it. Legit. Here's how Ezra Miller conveys that he's younger. Just like an annoying like laugh, can't convey like any other emotion. It's all like it's literally felt like watching the best freshman actor in high school. Like, yeah, for theater, this makes sense, and he's really they're really good as an actor for like theater. And especially if they're young, like if they're younger. But he's had how long on television and in movies and stuff? And I haven't seen any of the other DC stuff, so this is just my initial reviews. But Ezra Miller just their performance. I'm so sorry. Their performance is just bad. Like, I couldn't get behind it. I had no emotional stakes in it. Every single delivery that they had was just like so wrong for the line, I can tell from your face that you don't.
Well, okay, but like I think that was part of their performance was at least like the adding the humor elements to the movie. Like,
okay, there's a difference between adding the humor, because here's the thing: there are ways to make characters awkward, and one of them is to not be in like. One of them is to not just do it's too much business. Like that's something that they say in Asteroid City, actually, where it's like there's too much business with the cigar and the eyebrow and the beard. Like that, you got too much business. But other than that, it's fine. they have too much business. Like every single thing that they do is like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, and that's how they convey awkwardness. Is just a lot of stuttering and a lot of like really weird motions that look more grotesque than awkward. You know, it doesn't feel like I'm watching an awkward human being. It feels like I'm watching like a caricature of an alien who's trying to mock humans. So that's gripe number one. The delivery is always off. They don't, anything that's supposed to have weight and meaning behind it doesn't, and just has this weird delivery of like when a kid is playing, like when you're a kid and you're playing games, like video games, when you weren't supposed to and you wanted to yell but you knew your parents were listening, so you'd be like, yes, oh yes, yes, yes. Like it. A lot of the lines that were supposed to convey like a lot of like emotional depth had sort of that same energy of just not wanting to commit to it. And it just often didn't feel like they were taking the material as seriously as it was being presented, which, having seen the material that was presented, I wouldn't want to take it seriously either. That said,
I guess I do agree with you a little bit on their performance in that.
Yeah.
case.
Well, it didn't convey anything. Like, it was awkward, not because the character was awkward. It was awkward because the actor was awkward with it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I know we're not going to go too in depth about this, but out of all the actors that like you'll cancel a full movie, a full TV show for things that cult, grooming, assaulting people in Hawaii, the most peaceful of the states, aside from the accidental nuclear warning that went off there a couple years ago that almost killed Jim Carrey.
What? No.
Yeah, no. Jim Carrey straight up said, like, I thought I was going to die. I came to terms with it.
Oh.
But yeah, like, out of all of the actors, Ezra Miller's the one that you want to dump $200 million on, like, especially this close to all those controversies, just like up and up and up.
I was like, didn't they do a lot of that stuff after the film was created? Because I thought that it was delayed.
I think there was still stuff, but like I would have called it a loss. I'll be real, or I would have tried to recast because. For the performance that you got and then the controversy that you got, maybe that's why they dumped so much money when they were supposed to, like, for the CGI. It was just because they knew that this was not going to go well. Or it feels like I've been hearing bad news about Ezra Miller for longer than I've actually been hearing about Ezra Miller,
Yeah.
And so I don't know why the decision to double down, unless the movie was already just about done and they didn't want to drop it, which I can understand. DC's been having a lot of troubles getting themselves off the ground.
Yeah, but they chose to cancel the Batgirl movie after they had...
Yeah, that's right.
They had filmed it. Like,
which again, I've seen some of the... Yeah, I've seen
budget.
some of the like stills and stuff from the Batgirl...
Yeah.
Was it Batwoman or Batgirl show?
I thought it was Batgirl.
Okay, I think it's Batgirl. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I know that you will. But I saw some of the stills from that. It actually looked like it was going to be good. Like, reading up on it, I was excited about it, and I don't care about DC. Legitimately, I watched The Dark Knight Rises because every film major watches The Dark Knight Rises, and I liked it, but I don't care about DC.
The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises?
Which one has the Joker? That's how little I care.
Yeah. That one was good though. But
that one was good.
That was before the like major, I guess. Well, that was before the DCU, if you will, the DC Cinematic Universe.
And they can't even get that right. It feels like every single time that they start to like that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Like they keep trying to find the one that's going to kickstart it, like Iron Man did.
Yeah.
And they just can't, and you won't. I'm sorry, DC, you won't. Know your place.
Well, they just cast. Yeah, it's like they're trying to start over now
I know.
because they just cast the new Superman
Yeah, which also
and Lois Lane.
why Henry Cavill is such a good
Well,
Superman.
yeah,
I always
agree.
liked him as Superman. I don't know why they got rid. And also right after he got off of The Witcher.
I know that whole thing was they offered him. They told him that he had the job for second Man of Steel, and then they canned it after he had already said that he couldn't do The Witcher. It was a bad situation. But then because James Gunn got a hold of DC now, and he's trying to kind of rebuild it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like I feel like at least with the Flash 2, this was kind of one of those. I mean, they
the
have
Titanic's
already,
sinking. Let's put another captain in charge of it. That'll help.
I mean, yeah, it's like
It's okay. This guy did the ha-has for Guardians of the Galaxy, he did the Scooby Doo movies.
Well,
I mean, again, I like James Gunn as a director and stuff, but my God, no one to ship his.
They should stop because it's like I think, and that's one of the bigger issues about the DC films coming out now, at least at this point. Is The Flash, and then Aquaman is supposed to come out at the end of the year, which they also had a huge issue with one of their actors, Amber Heard. But anyway, so
also here's the that first, this is a little bit of a tangent. That first Aquaman movie, I kid you not, every single time a villain enters a scene, there's an explosion, is what Mark said. Just about every single time. I kid you not. Watch that movie. Take a shot every time that it happens. A villain will need to enter a scene, and there will be an explosion, and that is how they enter. There is hardly any other way that they will introduce a villain into a scene, even if it's the same villain, even if they entered the last scene the same way.
I gotta rewatch it.
Do it and take a shot. I
time.
kid you not. Every time you will be in the hospital by the time that Fox will cut to commercials.
I'll do it right before our next podcast.
Yes,
that way I can be.
That way you can tolerate. My trash.
No.
Also. Sorry. So this is another thing. The big battle with Zod and
in the Flash.
Hollywood. It's not cool to have just a flat, featureless terrain and to have soldiers just running across that. It's not cool. It looks stupid, and I don't like it. It's so dumb. Like literally, the whole thing.
Isn't that though? Like in the scene of Man of Steel. That's where that whole sequence takes place.
Yes, and I thought it was stupid then. I think it's stupid now. Stop adding more stuff and add terrain so that way battles can be intelligent. Because here's what you see. I'm sorry, audio listeners, you're not really going to be able to see this, but video listeners, here's how battles go in this movie. At least the big battle. Here's how trained U.S. Army soldiers do their fighting. They go. And there's no cover. There's nothing. They don't make a run for anything. They don't function as squads. They just look stupid and incompetent. And it's not fun or cool to watch. All you're doing is bloating your own CGI budget for no reason. Legit, if they made okay, there's pieces of cover here. They have this trench line here. They'll have the tanks operate here. You could save so much money if you stop just parking a bunch of tanks in a single row and throwing a bunch of soldiers into a field. You would save so much money. You'd save so much money. It would look so much cooler, and your movies wouldn't be so stupid. Where the way that your heroes defeat the villain is by just either running faster than them, punching harder than them, or having friends. That's so lame. It's so lame. I'm so mad about it. Not to mention, when you watch that scene, I couldn't stop seeing it after this. It legitimately looks like they're fighting on top of a Google Maps image. Satellite. I kid you not. Watch it. You'll see, and it's when they're low to the ground, too. You can really tell it's just a Google satellite image of, some desert plot that they just projected onto the bottom there because they didn't want to go out and film in a desert. Hollywood, you're not saving money. You're really not. You're not as smart as you think you are. Just make a movie and not. You're not Pixar. Like, you're DC. You're Detective Comics. You're supposed to do the thing. And granted, I know movies weren't your thing to begin with, but Marvel did it. And granted, Marvel just keeps throwing green at things, but still.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, their films though are
I know, just throw the word nano and quantum in front of anything, and that's
and multi.
God, I think I said this in the last in the Asteroid City, or maybe I said at the beginning of this. I'm so sick of multiverses.
Yeah, I think it's because this one uses the multiverse.
Multiverse, and it explains it in the dumbest way possible too. I mean, I like the idea of like you go back in time, you change the past, but that changes past that. But that's the dumbest way. Just say you didn't go back in time, you went back in time, but when you go back in time, you also like. Because there's space and time and they're intertwined. So if you go back in space, in time, you're also going back in space. And that puts you in another dimension. That's a much better explanation than just, well, you moved to spaghetti and so Michael Keaton is Batman because you changed the past, but not that past, even though the world was the same before. Just say that you went to another universe. I hate multiverses already. I also hate time travel. Time travel's so dumb. But
whoa, that's controversial.
Hey, if you put time travel in another movie, I swear to God, you're never getting money from me again. I'm so sick of it. Memento was good. Back to the Future was great. Endgame, don't even try. You go back and watch that movie, and go ahead and keep track of the timeline stuff and tell me how it makes sense that Steve Rogers just let 9/11 happen. Okay, he just let it happen. No, not my Steve. But so yeah, no multiverses, no just flat terrain. That makes no sense. Have soldiers act like soldiers and not just... They have guns. Do you know the point of a gun? Will, what is the point of a gun as opposed to a sword? Why do I want a gun and not a sword?
Well...
This one is rhetorical.
Oh, okay.
No. You know why you...
Long distance?
Yeah, exactly. And what happens every time, every single superhero movie, take a shot, you see a soldier running towards a threat, closing the distance so much that it effectively allows them to just be swatted around.
In this case, what they were fighting were Kryptonians, which can only be hurt with kryptonite.
Right. They don't know that the solution to a soldier not like killing their enemy is not to get closer to them and shoot them if it's clear that shooting them is not hurting them. It's to fall back and rely. You look and wait to see a tank fire. They don't shoot a single tank shell. They have all these shells, like all these tanks lined up, and they don't use them once in the fight. Why did you park the tanks there? Why? The movie's dumb. The movie's dumb. Don't let anyone tell you it's not dumb. And I see all these people coming out, and I'm like, hey, how was it? And they're like, oh my God, it was so good. No, it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know about that.
It was entertaining.
That is a good point.
It was entertaining.
A movie can be entertaining and bad, and you can like them. I like the Star Wars prequels, and they're bad movies. They're bad films.
But entertaining.
Yeah. And so even though it ruins The Flash for me, I'm not going to look at you and say, you're a dumb idiot man. I'll say that because you're a dumb idiot man, but not because you like The Flash. If watching The Flash run really fast, even though it looks really slow, is doing it for you, awesome. Great. Good for you. I'm glad that you can enjoy that. And not everything needs to be like some big, like philosophical, like deep thing. Sometimes you just need like, punching robots or running really fast.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah, to an extent.
I still think that they should just stop with some of them.
Yeah. Well, so that's that. Here's the thing, though. That doesn't mean that you don't have to make it good. Like, you can... the worst thing, and this is... I think I mentioned this in the airplane episode that we did. The worst thing you can say is, "Oh, it's a comedy." So we don't need to do like, don't worry about it, it's a comedy, or don't worry about it, it's just a superhero movie. Don't use the crutch of just like, oh well, it's not like it's a Picasso or anything, because you're not making it a Picasso. You're not putting in the work to make it good.
But again, that's just what Hollywood movies are nowadays. It's just to put something out there and to get their return. And that's why there's sequels and remakes and everything. Again, James Gunn is rebooting the entire universe, and that's partly why these films are starting to bomb now, these DC films, because no one cares anymore. Because they're all like, well, there's going to be another one, and there's going to be another one. So they need to come up with some original ideas.
And they will, because you at home are not going to pay for a ticket for bad movies, and you have to do that. You can't just say, "Well, I'll go see it because my friends are all gonna."
Well,
if it doesn't look good, and you don't think that you're gonna like it, wait for the reviews. Wait for people that you can trust to see it, and don't see a movie that you don't. Because if you do, then you're gonna support that. They're gonna be like, "Well, we can still make return on this," and just. So it's just going to be the never-ending cycle, and that's how you're going to end up with, it's going to be 13 Fast and Furious films when I've been told only 3 of them are good.
Yeah.
And it's the first 3.
I was like, just. I mean, don't.
Yeah.
Even though
just don't.
Even though we're guilty of doing that.
Yeah, but that's because we do this. That's because we do this.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Oh, no, I mean, I do it for this. I do it for this.
I like to be entertained, and that's what I thought that The Flash was, but
I was
really,
not entertained.
I can tell.
Oh, you see, you guys think I'm harsh. My brother was ripping this film a new one. He does objective analysis. Well, people take issue with that term, but it's about internal consistency because he's a huge story guy. And this movie does not have like any semblance of internal consistency.
He does have an interesting film palette, though.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. But still, this was a bad movie in my opinion. It can be enjoyable. I didn't find it enjoyable, but if you found it enjoyable, I'm not going to patronize you and be like, that's fine that you found this bad thing good.
Oh, thanks, Gabe. Thanks. Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't like it. I don't like it. It lowered the bar for what DC and superhero movies can be, I feel. He put a baby in a microwave.
But okay, well, but I still don't think it was the worst DC film.
What is the worst DC film? Tangent.
In my opinion, let's see. Batman versus Superman.
Okay, that was bad. That was bad.
That was pretty bad.
That was very bad, yeah. I can get behind that.
But
this one's up there.
I don't know. I think we'll just leave it at that. Yeah. We've torn this apart, I think, dissected it enough for one evening.
Mm-hmm. But on the next evening,
yeah, I don't know, we will have more episodes after this. I don't want to say exactly which ones. Cause...
It's Indiana Jones. He won't tell you. It's Indiana Jones. He has a cosplay. He's gonna put it on for the review. I swear to God, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna dress as Phoebe Waller-Bridge, which is basically just dressing like Indiana Jones. But
well, you still have to see that film, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
I was fortunate enough to see it on opening night. So, but that will be our next episode.
Mm-hmm. And then Spider-Verse.
Yeah, which is a little out of order, but it's okay. We'll talk about it.
I love Spider-Verse. I'll spoil it. I'm sorry. Can we
It
bleep that out? Bleep out what I said. Like, please, for love of God, just I want that, like, because I had a bit of a confused expression there. But, cool. Well, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you want to talk about with the Flash? I think I'm good. I don't.
Yeah, Barry Allen could have stopped 9/11, and he chose not to. Just like Steve Rogers What are they doing to our heroes?
Just let that.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can call it. Leave.
Why are you still here? Go home.
Oh, just Ferris Bueller them?
Yeah. Bye.